Hello and welcome back to the channel, Cali Legends Media. I'd like to thank all the subscribers who have subscribed to my channel. If you haven't subscribed and you're a frequent watcher of my content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It really doesn't cost anything. And if later you decide, you could unsubscribe at any time. I also suggest you put the notification bell on all. Also, for those of you who have texted me that you're not receiving any type of notification when I drop a video, unsubscribe and then resubscribe and put your notification bell on all, and that should get you connected once again, and that way you'll be notified whenever a new video drops. Okay, so this video is it's pretty much a standalone video. Nevertheless, 16 the Life Chill, he made a video regarding this subject. And he pointed out some racial conflict behind it, and he proved it through. And yeah, there's a lot of people that think that this is a black and white thing. And really, in my opinion, okay, because whatever I speak on is solely my opinion. It's just what I think, what I believe, what I see. This is a situation between two kids. Okay, two youngsters, already getting to be young adults, 17-year-olds, okay? And one happens to be a black person and one's a white person, okay? So that's it, you know. But the point is that there's these two kids. They're at some type of event, and their names are, let me tell you their names, okay? Because I'm only going to be mentioning one of their names throughout the video. One of the guys' name is Carmelo Anthony. Okay, he's the suspect in this case. And the victim is Austin Metcalf, okay? Austin Metcalf was hit in the chest, okay? And his heart was punctured and he lost his life in this encounter. So let me mention how this allegedly took place. Because I say allegedly because I wasn't there. I'm going by different videos and different things that people are saying, even the news. So what happens is Canelo goes and sits down underneath a tent that is primarily Austin's team. Pretty much, they're the ones that are sitting underneath that tent. And when Carmelo comes and sits there, Austin and his twin, he has a twin brother, they approach Carmelo and tell him, "Hey, you can't sit here. You know, this is for our team. You have to go sit somewhere else, you know." Anyways, the exchange got a little bit heated, confrontational, to the point where Carmelo tells Austin to keep his hands off him. And I guess Austin, taking that as a challenge, kind of like put his hand on his backpack or got a hold of his backpack. Carmelo tells him, "Go ahead, hit me. Like, you know, go ahead, hit me. See what happens," right? Not so much as a threat, but as a warning. In other words, you hit me, you're going to see what's going to happen, you know? In any case, Austin somehow holds him or pushes him. I'm not sure. But Carmelo has his hand inside his backpack. He pulls his hand out. He has a big old knife, and he stabs Austin in the chest. Austin grabs his chest. He starts calling for help, asking somebody to get him some help, but he loses his life. So Carmelo's arrested. Okay, now he had $1 million bail. A lot of people are making a big thing because the judge that lowered his bail to $250,000 was a black judge. So a lot of people see it as favoritism. I've had bails lowered before, okay? I had picked up a case that I bailed out from, and the sheriffs, knowing where I always would hang around at, came to the spot where I hung around, and me joking around like I pretend like I was going to run, but I didn't even take like 2 steps, and then I stopped and I laughed, and I turned around and I walked up to them. I go, "What's up?" And they said, "Why were you going to run? Because you got a warrant?" I go, "I don't have no warrant." She said, it was a female. She says, "Yeah, you do. You have a warrant for your arrest for that thing that happened at your house." I says, "I already bailed out on that." She says, "Well, they raised your bail to 200,000. It was 30,000, and I bailed out right away before they raised it. Well, when I'm out in the street on bail, they raised it to 200,000 and wanted to rearrest me." Anyways, I had a lot of encounters with this sheriff, and I showed her the paperwork that I was, had paid the bail for 30,000, and she talked. It was a gang unit, and she talked to her lieutenant or commander, whoever she talked to, and they told me, "You get over to this bail bonds and let them know what's taking place and fix it, because the next time we see you, we are going to take you in." So of course, I was grateful. I jumped in my car, went back to the bail bonds. We set a court date up. We took it to court, and the judge took off the $200,000 bill and left it at 30,000 and let me leave on the same bail. So under different circumstances, people do get their bails lowered, okay? I know you would think, like for me, if I got caught for what Camelo got caught for, I'd be held up at a no bail. But that's probably based on my background, on my priors, and all of that, especially if it was a stabbing. And this kid, he's an A student. He doesn't have a criminal record. He's never had any trouble with the law or anything. He comes from a very well-off family, okay? Apparently, they live in this $800,000 home. They don't own it, but they're living in it, and in a gated community, and have a Cadillac Escalade. And apparently when they let this kid out on bail, they went and bought him a Cadillac Escapade. So right now the internet's in an uproar because they were raising money to bail this kid out at $1 million bail. So he got his bail lowered to 200,000. He was bailed out. I don't know the situation why they lowered his bail, but it's probably because he had no criminal records. He's a straight A student. He saved a little kid from drowning just a few months ago. He's a football captain and the captain of the track team, and then I don't know all of the circumstances of or the allegations of what took place, for this young man, Austin, to have lost his life. I do know this though, okay? And this is what I believe. I believe that Camelo's going to go to jail. He's going to do time. How much? I don't know. You seen what happened with Kane, with the fighter. He shot at this person, ended up hitting the man's dad, was arrested and was given home arrest, and he pretty much got a slap on the wrist, By the time he fought his court from the outside with the ankle bracelet, he only had 1 year to do. So, everybody don't always know or understand all the circumstances, okay? But regardless that this kid's out on bail, he's going to do time. He had a big old knife inside his backpack, okay? Besides that, the kid he unalived was unarmed. And you really have to feel that your life is being threatened for you to attack a person in that manner and take them down like that. And I don't think Austin was that threatening without a weapon or anything in his hand, and not fight, swinging on him and punching at him. So that guy's going to have a hard battle. 16 to Life pointed that out, and I agree with him 110%. Austin was unarmed. Dude had a big knife. Like, there was all kinds of ways that could have been handled. It was handled poorly by both kids, and bad decisions were made. And one ended up unalive. The other one is going to end up doing time. It's almost for certain. Another thing that people have a problem with is they're not going to try this kid as an adult. He's 17 years old, okay? They're not going to try him as an adult. And everybody should know by now that the laws have changed concerning youths that commit crime. That's why a lot of people had action that were serving life sentences to get out, because they say that the human brain isn't fully developed until age 25. So crimes that are committed by 15, 16, 17-year-old kids can't be treated like they were back in the days. They're treated differently because the laws have changed. The ways the law works have changed. So they're not going to charge this guy as an adult. A lot of people are pissed off about that because so many other kids had been charged in that manner. That was under the old law, the way things were. And I think a lot of people, they don't realize that. So there's a lot of back and forth going on with this case. In my opinion, what Carmelo did was wrong. Carmelo Anthony shoved that piece of metal in that man's chest. I don't believe out of fear. I don't believe out of anything but anger and frustration. And the kid wasn't armed, He could have fought the kid, or he could have walked away. There's so many other decisions he could have made. But he chose to do something that cost this man his life, and there's a price to pay for that. So that's my opinion. As far as being charged as an adult, why waste the time? You see the way that they're treating people who've committed crimes when they were young. Why waste the time charging them as an adult? It doesn't work anymore. Doing that doesn't work with these new laws, Who knows when the new district attorneys voted in? If he changes the law on the death penalty, if he reinstates it, and if he changes all these other laws back into effect, which would change everything, I got, what was it, a suspended sentence, joint suspended, 3 years on a gun case, okay? Due to a bunch of circumstances, why they gave that to me. Not just because it was during COVID, but because of my illnesses and stuff. They gave me the probation, which I've already completed years ago, about, 4 years ago. If not, I would have went to prison for maybe 2.5 years, But when this new district attorney came in, everything changed, because they wanted me to go to prison. The district attorney was firm on that. And they brought up so many things and enhancements and all that. All that went out the window because they can't use those anymore. Gang enhancements and all of that. I think the priors didn't count. All kinds of stuff just didn't affect my case anymore, And I got more action than people that have got ex-cons that have been caught with guns. A lot of them get broke off, for whatever their circumstances are. So I think it's not only in a case by case, but it's how the law works, and what's your background and your experience with getting in trouble, you know. And like I said, the kid, high school football captain, the captain of the track team, straight A student, never in trouble with the law. The thing now that's a big controversy is all the money they raised. You know, they're wondering, hey, all the money that we gave for the legal costs, they didn't need $1 million. I think they raised $500,000, and it was only $200,000 bail, and you only pay a percentage of that. And this kid gets bailed out, and they buy him a brand new Escalade. Like, where did that money come from? You know what I mean? And then the neighbors are saying that they're getting a lot of deliveries to their house, you know, or they're going on shopping sprees. You know, it's just the way people think and the way things are viewed. And the attorney should let this family know that, you know, so they could be more careful, because I think public opinion has everything to do with how this case is going to end, because those jurors are going to be aware of all this stuff that's taking place, and are going to feel their own sort of way about things when they go into court. Anyways, I just wanted to touch on this. This case is full of twists and turns and circumstances and situations that it's unbelievable. But in my opinion, this is not a black and white thing. All this has to do with our two kids that got in a confrontation. One lost his life for engaging. The other lost his life for going too far and making bad decisions. And of course has to pay as a result of those bad decisions. You know, has to pay for it, in my opinion. Anyways, I know I always ask you, and I take long to get back to my comment section, but I would really like to know what you guys think about this. I know it takes time to leave a comment and stuff, but if you could just touch on what you think about the case, about him being charged, not being charged as an adult, how the money's being used, the bail money, like what happened. We don't know. We don't know yet, because they did get an attorney for this kid, but this family is very well off. You know, from what the neighbors say, this family does well. So that doesn't even matter anyways. They asked for help for legal fees, and money was given. And as long as they use that money for that, because besides the bail, they got to pay attorney fees now. And I think if they use the money for that, I think they're not doing anything wrong. But if the shopping sprees and the new car and stuff have anything to do with it, with that money, then yeah, that's another issue. That's fraud. People have gone to prison for that. Like I said, right now it's an accusation. There's no solid proof about that. But yeah, and just an opinion on if you think that he was justified for his actions. I know my viewers, man. I know you guys are gonna agree with that. Just the fact that he had a big old knife in his backpack. Like, I'm not saying he intended to use that knife, but what was he doing with that knife in there? You know, did he feel in danger, or like, you know, that hasn't came out yet. There's a lot of things, a lot of pieces still missing to this conversation and stuff. You know, important pieces, in my opinion. But where it stands now, I'd just like to know what you guys think. So go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. God bless you. God bless your families. And let's stay free, people, man. Let's make better decisions and use our heads and you know, stay on the right track so we don't end ourselves up behind bars or in prison just due to a fit of anger or any reason. There's no reason good enough to end up in prison. You know, let's be out here where we could be with our families and loved ones and enjoy our freedom. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you on the next video. Thank you very much.